Hi guys, today I'm with the lovely Hayley. We're going to be doing a 90s inspired bridal makeup look. So nice and bronzed and dewy with a subtle liner. So I've already prepped Hayley's skin. We've exfoliated and I've applied moisturizer. I've used the Active Moist moisturizer on her skin and her lips are hydrated with some lip balm. So I'm going to be using these two foundations, both Charlotte Tilbury. One is the Airbrush foundation and the other one is the Flawless Filter. So the Flawless Filter is in number 10. Hayley is quite tan, so I just want a little bit of that tan color to come through, and the number 6 in the Airbrush foundation is just going to even everything out. So on my palette here, I have my 2 shades of foundation and I'm just adding in the By Terry Brightening Serum in Sunny Flash. And I'm gonna mix them all together and create an all-over glow. And I'm just working the 2 colors together just to get the perfect shade for Hayley's skin. And this foundation brush is the Pout Cosmetics. And just big circular motions all over the skin. And these 2 foundations mixed together just give you a really beautiful finish. You can build up the coverage as you need. And just mixing in the Brightening Serum. So using the Brightening Serum over the high points of the face, just to add a little bit of dimension. Just building up around the nose, in the center of the face, just where we want that little bit more coverage. I always like to apply the foundation with a smaller brush just to deposit it down, and then go in with my foundation brush just to smooth everything across. And then bring your head back around. And then just bringing the product down around the neck, making sure that everything's blended. I don't like to use too much product on the neck, generally just down the sides. You don't want to have it too heavy, but it's all just got to blend in. And then you can take it across the ears as well. And then just bring your head around. Okay, so the foundation is almost done. I will come back to it later, but I'm just gonna move on to the eyes. I'm just taking the brush with the foundation on and just sweeping it over the top. So if you just close your eyes for me, just a little bit to even out the skin. So to create the perfect base for the eyeshadow, I'm using the NARS Smudge Proof Tinted Eyeshadow Base in the color Dark, and just close for me. So I've used these colors a few times in the course and they're just so versatile on all skin tones. And even these on their own just look absolutely beautiful. Because we're doing a 90s inspired look today, I'm taking this eyeshadow base all the way up into the brow bone and into the inner corners of the eye. And just making sure that it's really diffused. We want to cover the whole of the eye shape. And just open your eyes. I mean, gorgeous. I'm going to take the same product underneath the eyes as well. I'm just popping a little bit more onto my spatula. And then I'm taking the Real Techniques mini shading brush I love this brush for underneath the eyes. And just look up for me. And just going quite low under the eyes. Hayley has beautiful big almond-shaped eyes, so it's a perfect look for her. And you can take this product quite low. And just making sure that you meet at the outer corner. And this fluffy brush just diffuses the product perfectly. I just need it to come around a little bit. Going to get the brows, just a little brush, just to lift them up and frame the face so we can see exactly where to take the eyeshadow. I'm using the Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. This is in bronze. This is a super gorgeous palette to have in your kit. I'm going to be using the color Beach to start with. And this is just going to be all over the lid. So just close your eyes for me. And using a really fluffy brush, we're just going to take that pretty much over the whole entire lid. So as this look is going to be pretty matte, I'm working with all these gorgeous matte tones in the palette. And then just bring your head around. And this brush is a Zoeva Luxe Crease brush, nice and fluffy. And you can go right up under the brow and all the way out to the end of the eye. And then just open. Gorgeous. So using my favorite little Suku brush, I'm taking the same beach color and I'm going to retrace underneath the eye as well. So just look up for me. And you really do need a brush like this in your kit for doing these smoked out looks. They just diffuse the color perfectly and you get no harsh edges. Just repeating the same on the other eye. And this is what we call a drop shadow, so we're taking it quite low underneath the eye. Beautiful. Using the same palette, I'm now going to go in with this gorgeous suntan color. This is a nice, rich, warm brown. It's a slight red undertone, which will be perfect with Hayley's tan skin. So just close for me. And this is a clean brush, and I'm just going to support the brow and just do little tiny circles on the outer corner of the eye. And you can take this pretty much over the entire lid. I'm not going to take it up to meet underneath the brow. We want that lighter color to transition through. And then just open, just so we can make sure that's in the right direction. Hayley's gorgeous green eyes, this color's perfect. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm just patting down, placing the color, and then softening and blending it out. And then just open. Beautiful. Okay, I'm taking a large fluffy blending brush now. This is the Hakuhodo brush, and I'm just making sure that all those edges are super seamless. Just go over and then going back into that same suntan color, and I really want to build up and intensify this color on the outer corner, and then just softly blending will just give you that little bit of extra dimension with the eye. but it's still very monochromatic. And then your next thing. So just layering back on the other eye. Okay, so I'm just building up the color on the outer corner just to intensify the shade. And then just open for me. Gorgeous. And as you go with your clean brush, just smoking out and taking your time to blend it all. And then close again. This way. Just going to add a little bit more. And taking the same shade underneath the eye with your same brush that you used with your first shade, picking it up and just tapping off the excess. And then just look up for me. And then slightly closer to the lash line, we're just gonna place this color down, working all the way to the inner corners of the eye and just softening as you go. And then repeat the same on the other side. I like to do this in little tiny strokes. I find it's just softer on the eye. And just stepping back and making sure you're happy with the shape. Eyes look amazing. So I'm gonna smudge in a little bit of black liner right at the base of the eye. So this is the Rock and Kohl by Charlotte Tilbury, using my Kitco mini detailing brush to soften the line. So keeping it really tight to the lash line, we're just gonna smudge it along. So I just applied the liner to the outer corner of the eye, and then I'm using the blend-in brush to push the product all the way into the inner corners. That way you don't have an overbuild up of product on the inside of the eye. And just open for me, gorgeous. And close again. And then just going back in and reinforcing that shade a little bit more. So I'm just going to go on to the inner corners of the eye now. So I just got Hayley to look down to her right, which just stretches the eye, and I'm just going to get right in there, making sure that we have the whole line covered. And again, using your brush, really, really softly, and just give them a minute. You can actually close if you want. You could use a deep brown eyeliner as well for this look, would also look really nice. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat the same on the other side. I'm just working along the lash line, making sure that you get right in between the lashes. And again, just do this in layers. It's best not to go all the way along with the liner. You'll just end up with too much product. And because it's black, it's very hard to erase mistakes. So you're better off just taking your time and blend in stages. And just open for me, and just checking as you go. And then if you look down to that corner, that's it. And just adding layer by layer and build up until you have the right amount of intensity. Okay, just open and then just close again. And I'm just lifting up the lid now, just I want to get right in at the base of the lash. You can see there's a little gap there. So if you lift the lid while the eyes are closed, and then you can fill in that gap. That's so important to get in between those lashes. I'm just going to check this side is closed. So I'm just using a cotton bud just to soften that line a little bit. And then if you open and look up, so I'm going to use a tiny little bit under the eyes as well, really just on the outer corners. I still want this to be quite smoky, so using what's left on my brush and just adding a little tiny bit. And taking just a clean brush just to soften. And then turn your head for me. And I'm really using such a small amount here. So I'm going to dip back into the suntan and just soften that line. I'm going to use a little bit of the magma as well, which is a slightly richer color. So just reinforcing that line again, we just want to make sure that everything is super blended and that black just melts into the bronzy colors. I'm using the big fluffy brush now just to soften everything. And then just look up for me again. And then move back around. Gorgeous, bronzy, beautiful. Just taking a little bit of moisturizer on my palette just to clean up underneath the eyes. We're going to go in with concealer now, but I just want to make sure that there's no heavy fallout. I find that the Natasha Denona shadows are really great for limiting fallout. Okay, so for concealer, I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Hydrating Concealer. This is in the color 220. This is actually an eyeshadow brush, but I love to use it underneath the eyes. And this is just going to brighten underneath the eye area. And then just blending with the Hourglass concealer brush as well. And I find this just diffuses any harsh edges. And I love this little brush because it kind of hugs the contour of the eye. And you can just use it around the face just to diffuse any bits of foundation that you need to. And you can also just use it just to really carve out that eyeshadow as well. Just a little bit to get that beautiful shape. And then turn your head around. And it's really good just to get right up into the inner corner of the eye, because I find that you get natural shadows there, so it can look quite dark. So if you bring your concealer right up to the inner corner, you just have to create that gorgeous bright under eye. And again, you just see me doing lots of these patting motions. We don't want to disturb the foundation too much. We just want to layer everything and really push it into the skin. Just going to use a tiny little bit more just in the inner corner there. A little bit extra in between the eyes. I'm just taking a bullet brush here, and Hayley just has one tiny little pimple which we're gonna conceal. So I'm using a clean brush, and I'll only be using this brush on this area just to make sure that we don't transfer anything. So this concealer is great to use on the skin as well as under the eyes. Actually going to go in a little bit heavy duty on this pimple, sorry Hayley. So I'm just using the darker shade. This is the MAC Full Coverage Foundation Concealer Palette, and just to blend all that in. I'm curling Hayley's eyelashes now, so just look down, lift in the lid, and just curling, little curl. You don't want to press too hard with these because you don't want to bend the lash. You just want a really subtle lift. I just do a couple of little squeezes, and that gives you the perfect lift. I'm using some mascara, so just lift in the lid, and I like to just twist the brush as I go. I feel like it just helps you diffuse the product through the lashes. We're going to pop some falsies on, so we don't need to overdo the mascara at this point. And it's down to personal preference whether you like to put mascara on before lashes or after. I've always done it before. I find that they just sit better. It's entirely up to you. That's it. And then I'm going to do the other eye, getting down to the base. So just use your mascara wand to kind of place any rogue lashes where you want them to sit. And once this mascara has set, the lashes don't budge. I'm using long and medium falsies on Hayley. So I'm gonna start in the center of the eye with a long one and just pop it in. These are from Model Rock lashes. And I'm just gonna do long and then a gap and then medium lashes. And that'll just give us that really beautiful fluttery lash. So these are the long ones. And then leave a little gap and do another long one. Okay, so these lashes do blend really beautifully, so you can just build them up as you go. I like to do them in layers and then see how everything's looking. I'm going in with some medium ones now, so I'm going to fill in the gaps. Okay, so just building up with the mediums. And individuals do take a little bit longer, but I find that the result is much better. And you can see that that just gives you a really gorgeous frame. So I find with these sort of looks, when it's quite bronzy and blown out, you want to see the eyeshadow underneath it. So if you use a strip lash, it's kind of going to block all that beautiful blending you've done. And it's much more modern to have a really flirty, fun lash as opposed to a heavy strip lash. But you just need to take your time and work them into the lash. Down. If the lash isn't sitting right, just take it off and do it again. You're better off having the confidence to remove the lash and going in with a clean one than you are trying to fix it. And your bride will be much more happy with having straight lashes than a wonky lash. So I'm using the mediums quite far in with Hayley because she has beautiful wide eyes, but if your model or your client had smaller eyes, then you'd go in with the smaller ones. Gorgeous. And then just look up for me and just making sure that that shape is just really beautiful. I'm going to pop one more medium one right at the end just to balance out. And then the same on the other eye. Okay, so those lashes are looking amazing. I'm happy with how they're sitting. I think that's enough drama on the lash. So I'm gonna use a little bit of the Brow Co brow soap, and I've just sprayed my Fix Plus in there, and using a spoolie, we're just gonna stick the brows up a little bit. Hayley's got amazing brows, so we can have a little bit of fun here. So just working this product into the brow. And then you can use the back end of the spoolie just to press them down. And you really need to coat the whole brow with this product, so you can just keep working through. And this is quite an editorial way to finish the brow, but it does help keep the brows in place. So if you have a bride that wants that more editorial finish, so you can definitely use brow soaps for bridal looks. Amazing. I'm going to repeat the same on the other brow. I'm using a clean spoolie and then just spray back in again. Have you had your brow soap before?
No, this is a whole new thing. I need it.
It's so good.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's amazing. So you can also just take the product back through the underside of the brow, and that just coats everything and helps push them down into place. And then using the back end just to press them down. So this product does need a little bit of work, but you can just take your time and just work through it. I don't want them to be too flat to the face because it's still a bridal look. You can go quite heavy with these brow soaps and you can get that really flat looking brow. Gorgeous. Okay. Just to finish off the brows, I'm using a little bit of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow. I find this works really well with brow soaps. Just on my spatula and a 208 brush by MAC. I'm using such a small amount, and I'm just feathering in Hayley's brows just where they're a little bit on the thinner side or sparse side. She has amazing brows, so we really don't need to do too much. That's probably all I'm going to do, just to fill in any little gaps. Amazing. Because we've got quite a bronzy look going on here with Hayley, I want to add a little bit of colour to the cheeks just to add in some brightness to the cheeks. So this is a liquid blush. This is in the colour Orgasm by NARS. And I'm taking my Shiramera 20H brush, and I'm just gonna lightly go over the apples of the cheeks, and this just brings in a really beautiful radiant pop of color to the cheeks. I like to press this on because it is a liquid going over cream, so you don't want to swipe too much, otherwise you can disturb your foundation underneath. Just bring around. And I find the combination of the pinky blush with the bronzy skin just looks so beautiful. Gorgeous. I'm just finishing off the skin with any extra bits. So I'm a perfectionist when it comes to skin. You'll see me going back into the skin multiple times. It's just a really good quality to have as a makeup artist, so you should definitely take that on board. Okay, just look up again. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush powder. This is in the color dark, and I'm just going over the center of the face just to lock in that foundation. This is my Suku cheek brush, super fluffy. And again, I'm just pressing on, not disturbing the foundation underneath. So following on with my Charlotte Tilbury obsession here, I'm using the Airbrush bronzer. Just sculpting out Hayley's gorgeous cheekbones, taking it back into the hairline. So using the same sort of shades on the cheeks as in the eyes, you get this beautiful monochromatic feel, which is super in demand at the moment. And just tying in the bronzer over the décolletage and over the neck. Ensure that we're all good. I'm now using the color Buff by Pat McGrath on the lip, and we're gonna do a beautiful nudie pink lip just to tie everything in. And even these lip liners on their own just look so beautiful. And I'm gonna slightly, very, very slightly overline just to tie in with that 90s vibe. And just doing really small strokes. And then just bring your head around. And just filling in the lip, as I always do. Just gonna come across. And then I'm using the Hourglass Lip Gloss in Sublime. And this is a nice nude color as well, just to balance everything out. And this would also be amazing for a bridal campaign or an editorial. And just bring your head around. Gonna step back, making sure that's all perfect. You also like just to take it down a little bit lower on the bottom lip. Gorgeous, let me just check everything. I feel like I need a little bit of extra powder, just using the Shiramera medium light. So makeup artist is never really truly done until we've done a little bit of highlighter. This is the Westman Atelier super loaded highlighter. I've just got a little bit on my spatula here, and I'm using a Zoeva brush, a mini shader brush. I'm just going to go in the inner corners of the eye, just for that little pop of highlight, and on this side. And I'm taking a fluffy eyeshadow brush, and I'm just going to catch Hayley's beautiful cheekbones, and then come back around. Okay, and there we have it. This is our beautiful 90s inspired bridal look.